I totally forgot about the cool intro.
Well, I've updated the end one, so it's longer now as well. So hopefully it doesn't cut off before the stream comes. So I forgot to say that. Anyway, hello everyone.
It is just us saying hi to each other. Yes.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, for anyone, hello. See, we're not the only ones here. Hello. Do you guys want to introduce yourself before we get started, just in case people haven't been here or it's
sure.
Robin, do you want to start?
I'm Robin from Paperbacks and Planners. I'm here on YouTube and then over on Instagram. And this is my first time reading through this series. You're welcome, Heather.
I'm Shay from Shay Geeks Out. It is also my first read through of the series, though I'm halfway through a reread of this book because I wanted to make sure everything was fresh for tonight. And then I'm on the YouTubes and the Instagrams at Shay Geeks Out everywhere. This Megan, your turn.
Hi, I'm Megan, or Meowth Vader. I don't do social media apparently anymore. I just glommed onto this friend group and refused to leave.
We refuse to let you leave.
Stop with us.
We will hold you hostage.
Yeah, I know. I would definitely joke that we've tried to kick her out a bunch of times, but I would say she's tried to leave a bunch of times.
Like, no.
I'm Heather from Hia Booktubes, and I'm rereading the series for the read along, and I love it so much.
And I'm Steph here on my channel. Megan and I have done many
Yes.
read-alongs over the years, so I won't let her leave.
Like 5 years of read-alongs.
This is tradition now. I have read half of the series, so I've read up to the third book. So I'm rereading the first 3 books, and then I'm being very patient and not jumping ahead to the next.
I was told I was not allowed to jump ahead. So
yeah. It's hard to not just like plow through this one.
Yeah. Well, as Heather said, you all decided to wait to read it, so now you have to wait to read it.
In my defense, Heather told me that this was happening, so I was like, well, I'm not going to start it.
Same.
So we knew that this was happening for a while. I was like, well, I'm not going to read it before that then.
Yeah, exactly.
And because we're talking about the second book, I don't think there's going to be any chance of a spoiler-free section at all in any future live shows. So you have been warned. I was thinking about this.
So if you haven't read it yet, go back to the first live show where there's a spoiler-free section.
Yeah, that's the only place you're going to find a spoiler-free section.
Really, you should just go read the books.
Pause live. Go read
them.
It will be an excellent life decision.
Yeah,
hands down.
If
so
you're a Kate Daniels fan and you want something similar, or vice versa, if you read these and you're like, I don't know what to read, Kate Daniels.
Yeah.
I can't lie, it really is a pretty good comp. Having read both of them in a short span of time near each other, yeah, they're good comps.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So the second book got all of the same characters. We literally pick up from where the last book leaves off.
Like you're in the same scene.
The same scene. Like a sentence difference or something.
Right, exactly. You end book 1 with one character saying something, and you start book 2 with another character being like, "What'd you say?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, repeat yourself.
You correctly."
Which is the only correct way to have a cliffhanger and start the next book.
Yeah,
there is no other way to do that properly.
I've now been spoiled for that for forever, and it's not going to happen with other books.
No, it won't. But essentially, our Kira is in the first book. She starts off finding out that she belongs to a member of the house of an alien race that she didn't realize that she belonged to. But she's also connected to another one. And so that's what happens in this book is she spends the first book with the first house and the second book with the second house. And I love this book so much.
Okay, but first things first, like we have to address something big that happens like in the first like chapter and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reveal about what's going on with Kira's body. and the way that all goes down. Like,
That's the thing I was so sure happened in the first book.
Just now, I was like, wait, didn't that happen at the end of book 1?
No.
At the beginning of book 2.
Which I think is
Beginning
so
of book
great,
2.
actually.
Yeah.
Especially because the cliffhanger for book 1, again, obviously you all know we're talking spoilers. But the ending of book 1 is him saying, "You're ours and we're not letting you go," right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great cliffhanger. It obviously means the story is continuing, they're staying put, but it's not. I feel like it was much, much better to start book 2 with the health news and this big, and especially the damage it did to the relationships, especially with Jin, right? That's much better at the beginning of the book than it is at the end.
At the end of a book.
The cliffhanger in book 2 is more impactful than the cliffhanger of book 1.
Yeah.
No, it's wild. That's literally what I wrote in my journal. I was like, how is the first scene of this book the first scene of this book and not
right?
Yeah.
But I do like that the consent with revealing medical news was a topic of this conversation. Like,
agreed.
This is one thing I love that T.A. White does. If T.A. White is going to address like something like this or have something like this happen in the book that isn't appropriate, they talk about the fact that it's not appropriate in either culture. They're like, no, this isn't something you should be doing.
Yeah. And that there was like actual repercussions in that she was like, no, you've broken my trust. You're not my doctor. And then everyone was like,
it's
no,
like,
that makes
get out.
total sense. And I'm like, that's very realistic. Even though it's in space. Like, no, you broke my trust.
Like,
and
no,
consent.
I can't trust you. Get out.
Yeah. Instead of them being like, just get over it. It's like, no, that's wrong. Like, there are no HIPAA laws in space, but there are still HIPAA laws in space.
Right.
But it also, it continues through the book as well with her interactions with any medical staff.
Yeah.
And as you go on through the series, you see more and more how much of a distrust she has for medical personnel. And I also like with this type of thing, I think this is what makes such a big difference for my enjoyment of the book is the support of the other people. I hate when the main character is isolated and like horrible things are happening to them and everyone is like mad at them. So they're like, well, you deserve that anyways. Like I hate that type of environment.
Oh my gosh, no, that man will have her back for the rest of forever. And I'm not mad about it.
And the friends too, but especially the love interest. Like I have a hard time if the love interest betrays that trust. I have a hard time getting back on board, to be honest.
Especially since her fear of medical personnel is layered. It's not just that this person distrusts, it's that like her childhood,
it's like
memories that she has.
Trauma-induced fear.
Yeah. And so like the fact that everyone is like extra understanding and not just like, oh, why are you being like this?
Oh, get over it. It's just a doctor. Yeah, this makes sense.
You have a little bit of this, but not like majorly through the series. But I don't love when like something happens and people don't know the full story. Like people don't know the full story with Kira. So they don't have sympathy for her until the reveal. You know, a lot of times. And I don't always love that because, again, it's like you're in the main character's shoes. So you know how crappy the situation is. So I like that it's not extreme with any of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's like with the losing and when they bring up Rothschild, which is this huge event where she loses all of her friends. And she basically was sacrificing herself to the greater big bad.
Yeah. Like Heather said, I think the most
uses it as like a ploy. It's so
is that the hero is always like sympathetic towards her. He's always on her side. He never needed to know the best. He was like, I don't care.
He's like, I don't care. You did bad to her. I'm gonna be mad at you.
Yeah. Which is also why
side characters that I think it's not that they don't understand. It's that like she hurt them. And they're having a hard time, like.
Yeah, I think the only thing people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steph.
I was going to say, and some of the side characters, they don't have all the information either.
Yeah.
So they know what happened, but they don't know what happened before the big event. So they're left with the outcome, not with all the knowledge.
Yeah, Blue and Raider have more information than most, but they still don't have all of it.
Yeah.
I think the only one who truly has all of it is Jin, because Jin was by her side the entire time.
Yeah, and I think the only time where they're very like dismissive and kind of weird about it is Jin, and that's because everyone genuinely thinks Jin is a robot, and she hasn't told them otherwise.
Yeah.
So they're just like, it's weird that this girl is like really good friends with
That's
the
gonna be
Siri
like
on her phone.
reveal.
Like,
It's set up for it.
It's like through your persona, I just started. I don't know how many people's phones are. It's like, this is my best friend. Like, that's weird. But
Yeah.
it's not. She never told anyone.
Right. Well,
That scene did make me cry at the end where she was like looping through.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, he's like little boy body. And I was just
I
like,
know,
oh.
as soon as she was like the little boy, and I was like, no.
Yep.
No, I was driving in my car at that point, bawling my eyeballs out. Like, no, I had to pull over.
I
had to
love
pull
their
over on the side of the
relationship.
road and cry.
I love it. It's the best.
The Jin and Kira are just like one of my favorite duos. I love them so much. I love all the reveals you get in this book. Obviously, like there's more coming in this series, and I love the way all of that builds. But I love the reveals in this book. I don't know. I think it works so
They
well.
are soul siblings, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Like,
period.
Yeah, they're so siblings.
The first book, like you got their bond, right? You got all of that, but there was a lot of growth in this book.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, he was mad at her and abandoned her because she hid that she was dying. And then he sneaks in and causes problems.
He goes away and he's like,
I love like she figured it out. That's why she was like, I will carry this one stupid bag.
Right. She was
and then she was like, can I have your sword?
I guess I don't need
at this bag.
Yeah. I guess I don't need any of my clothes that I packed or anything else because now I'm carrying this one that is not packed for me. But also obviously he makes mini Jin in this one.
Yeah.
Mini Jin
she
kept saying my offspring.
Tattoo Mini Jin somewhere on my body.
My offspring.
It was just like my offspring. She's like, please stop saying that.
Yeah.
Don't stop calling him your spawn. It's weird. Yeah. Stop calling him your spawn. And I just love it. Jin was like, my spawn. And she's like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But seriously, Mini Jin is one of my favorite parts of this book.
Well, then,
this whole book is really, really good. Don't get me wrong, but like
you're gonna
the addition of Mini Jin is just amazing.
Yeah, and then of course, finally, you see, and I don't know how many of you picked up on it. I'm sure you probably did to a certain extent about how when she first sees Devin, she talks about how she knew another boy that had very similar coloring, very similar eyes. Very similar powers in some
and
way.
That family also lost a kid. Yeah.
And there's again no spoilers for this, but there's just so much coming with that it like makes me so excited to be back in
There's
it.
definitely I have lots of theories on
the fact
all of it, just how it ended and how she talked about the children and stuff like that. I was like, I have thoughts.
Yeah, no one.
The fact that the key like reintroduction affects Jin too tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
Like the minute that last scene started and they were like the child, and I was like, I know whose child this is. I know whose child this is. And then like they kept doing more like little hints, and I'm just like, yes, okay. And then I was like, yes. And then Heather was like, you can't start the next one for 4 days. And I was like, how dare you, Heather?
And I think the good part, like one of the things that I find really impressive is even though the reveals aren't necessarily surprising, they're so satisfying when it is finally revealed. So like it's not disappointing because sometimes I think with like if it's too heavy-handed, you're just like, I get it, like let's go.
Also, the creating of Hello Sperm Donor is so funny.
Yeah, it's so great. Also, the reveals, I feel like work really well because again, there's lots of foreshadowing. You're going to pick up on stuff. But also, once the reveals happen, there's so much expansion on them.
Yeah.
Especially like in the next book. Each book is what I'm talking about. You have the reveal at the end of book 1. And then obviously we expanded so much throughout book 2 on that very premise. And so that makes it very satisfying too. That you get the reveal you saw and then you get more information.
I think the amount of like foreshadowing for these surprises is what makes this more cozy feeling rather than like thriller feeling.
It's not like I'm not anxious while I'm reading, like trying to figure out what's happening.
Yeah, you get enough information to go, oh, okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah, I think that foreshadowing is what makes it feel cozy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know what the results are going to be, but I want to know how you're going to take me there.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
makes it so good.
And I
Yeah.
feel
Because
like
it's not
that is
necessarily
hard to pull off.
unpredictable. It's how you get from point A to point B that's
Yeah.
unpredictable. And
Mhm.
I love that.
Because
And then
I was
also-
just reading a book where the like final conflict was like kind of hammered over and over and over again. And the whole time I was like anxious because I was like, when is this going to happen? Because like I get it. We're going there. And I never get that with this series. And I just think that's really impressive to be able to.
And there's also so much foreshadowing that like you all haven't had any payoff for yet too, as well as the foreshadowing that you got payoff for in
Yeah.
this book.
Right.
And also, I think that this is one of those things where you have to trust the author on because it really varies, is how are the characters going to react to the reveals?
Yeah.
You know what reveal is coming, but you don't know if the author is going to decide that means that these people don't talk to each other for 5 books and there's like a lot of damage done, or if they're going to be fine right away. Like, you don't know.
I think that the fact that we get like little bits and pieces that end up being foreshadowing, as because it's in Kira's point of view, makes a lot of sense when Jin was like, she fragments her memories because
Yeah.
it was harder to control. And I was like, that makes sense because you'll get random thoughts that have like these things in it, like this group or this person or
Mhm.
There are
it's like,
little random
oh.
significant things in each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like literally a passing thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Megan. It's kind of like a very well done version. You know how a lot of authors will be like, you know, very obvious that the main character, I almost had it and the thought slipped away from me as they're about to figure out that this person is portraying them for the 70th time. You know, that's the thing where it's very annoying, but it's not annoying the way that it's being done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, very much. I just love Auntie and Uncle Jin.
Yeah. And can you imagine being raised by those two? Like, that's a lot.
Oh my god.
That's a lot of sass.
Yes.
I love that the hero is starting to figure out like Jin isn't a robot.
Yeah.
And he like he can kind of like pick up that like everyone else still thinks it, and he's like, have we all not figured this out yet? He's like, I thought we all knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think the reveal as to who Jin really is going to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we've all figured it out at this point
Yeah.
because we have enough of the story to figure out who Jin
I feel
really
like the
is.
hero is just so infatuated with her that he's like picking up on some of these little things because he's like so dialed into every little thing that
like
she does.
literally
He's paying so much attention
near him, and he's like, "Where is she? I need her. I need to know where she
and
is."
I just love that, like those little moments where he's like, it's clear, like you have been paying attention when no one else
Okay,
has.
so I need it to be to the point, like if they're like mates and married, like they can talk to each other in their brains. Like I need that. I need it. Because they're already kind of on a subconscious level doing that with each other. So I just need it in canon. I just need it to be a thing. Okay. I've been spoiled by Christine Feehan having this mental connection in most of her romances for far too long.
Yeah.
So I just need it now.
At the start of the book, when he's got the choice to go back to work or oops, the heir to the throne is here. It's a really hard choice. I think I'm just going to stick around.
Oh, it looks like I just need to be a guard for the heir. Oh no.
Oh no. I get to be by my future wife? No. I'm not going to choose that.
I absolutely love this is exactly the type of slow burn that I like because they're still not together. But like it's not
the amount of my wife energy this man gives. Oh my god.
And I think it's because there's not this like conflict where one of them is like, oh, we can't be together. It's just kind of it just hasn't happened yet.
But like, you'll forget me eventually. And he's like, nope, my world.
Right. There's a little bit of her just being like, I want you so bad. I don't want to have to give you up. Yeah. And I'm gonna have to leave. I have things I have to do.
Yeah. And she's been dying.
He's like, nope, I found you. You're mine.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such a great push and pull with it. And it's also like he's not frustrated by it. Neither one of them are frustrated by it. And I think that's helpful too. They're just so respectful and fun and playful when they're talking to each other. Like they enjoy that it's taken a little while.
And he's like has that kind of like alpha feel, but he never oversteps on her. Where like when she is just like doing something wild, he's just like, I
Also, I love their challenges to each other because it's not like I'm challenging you because I want to prove that I'm the best. It's like I'm challenging you because this could be a lot of fun.
yeah.
But like
Well, it's
one
like
of my
the
favorite,
whole like when her key first starts coming back and they're like playing in the water together, like in a challenge situation. It's like his form of flirting, which works for her, and I'm not mad at it.
Or the
Even when they had to save
wave
her.
runner racing or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When they had to save her after she like was getting shot by all the robots and stuff, like even then he wasn't like trying to control her or anything like that. He was like, that was really cool.
you recognize
like,
what he
That was
was
impressive.
doing.
He shoots just the last
That was-
one, and she's like,
Yeah,
"You're
you almost died, which was scary, but like cool.
But also, I'm not going to be able to
But at
stop
the
you
same-
from doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to help you.
Exactly.
At the same
Yeah.
time, like he helps her get to, like she's getting to a point where she can't really walk, so he just like kind of carries her near to where like the exit to this course is, puts her on her own 2 feet, and he's like, "Okay, you finish this."
Heather,
And I'm
it
just
gave
like,
me-
Yes.
Heather, it gave me Queen's Thief vibes where the
Oh,
king
so
is
much.
like
Queen's Thief
he's
series
like
vibes
trying
all
to
over.
convince everyone of something, and then like he walks through the door and like falls, and I was just like, oh, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. It just is.
So good.
Series
like
like this are catnip for me, Heather. Like,
Mhm.
I think one of my
As,
favorite scenes though of the entire book was her on the wall and just being like, you're all
Yes.
idiots. How have none of you figured this out?
yeah, right?
I loved that. I loved her just being like sniping all of them off.
They
the
never
wall.
said
I
it
have
was
been
a solo
running in the
mission.
woods.
What are you thinking?
Yeah. I've been
Right.
running in the woods and I figured it out.
Right. Yeah, that was great.
I loved
And then
it.
she's
just
like, "Okay,
shows-
bye," and just
Yeah.
goes back.
and then
to
just
her
starts
run.
going back to what she was doing.
Yeah. And like, I think part of it is because it actually shows her intelligence. I feel like so often in fantasy, it's like, she's so strong and she's so smart. It's like, where? I have never seen.
You can't just say how smart she is while
Yeah.
also she's falling into every single trap she comes across.
Yeah. I
And so
also
like
like
little scenes like
she is
that. just-
fallible.
yeah.
Like even in like the challenges and stuff, she's like, "Oh, I didn't think this one through. This is about to hurt." And
Yeah.
so, and it does. Like she gets injured. She's like
Mhm.
in medical bays and stuff.
Yeah.
So, or someone has to help save her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that. It's like she's not just like, I'm the best and I'm so smart and I'm so great."
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
also,
even-
I'm not like other girls. It's not giving
Yes.
that energy at all, and I love that.
Yeah.
go ahead, Steph.
I was just going to say, and even though she's a character that, you know, really travels alone with Jin and has kind of made herself seem like an isolationist, really, but she's not, because she builds relationships with Graydon, with Finn. She's fiercely loyal to Blue and to Raider and to all of those characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked her. I love her relationship with Finn. He's one of my favorite characters. I think we got a lot more from him.
And then
Can
like
we talk about the fact that Jin is softening a little bit and like
Yeah.
showing that he respects her
Yeah.
by like taking her to this bar that he and his like that his buddy runs?
yeah.
And like
Well,
I just love that whole moment when Graydon realizes, he's like, "I can't believe he brought you here." And she's like, "What? Why? What's so special about this?" And then he explains, and she's just like, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay, I get it now."
But I think like the reason that Graydon ended up, you know, choosing Finn in the first book anyway was because he recognized that there are similarities between the two characters, and it was really about Kira and Finn finding those similarities and relating to each other on a different level, which is what happens in this book because they spend so much of the book together without anyone else
running.
running
Yeah.
and killing dangerous animals in the forest.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
And I
Graydon-
love that Jewel is coming into the realization that he's not exactly like the warrior he thought he was going to be, but that Kira helped him find a way to still realize he's strong and helpful,
I loved
and that he
Raider.
will be so protective of his people. Like I loved all of that.
The scene where he's holding off the Primus with his shield, and
Oh, and
everyone
Raider,
else
yeah.
everyone else was like, anyone can do a shield, and Raider was like, "But you didn't." And I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like, yeah, just because he was like, I'd have him on my team any day. And they're like, why? It wasn't special. And he's like, the fact that he did something while you cowered is special.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I love that.
Raider's such an interesting character, I think, in the book, just because his relationship is so complex with
Yeah.
Kira. And like there's the
It's
scene
easy to have a love-hate relationship with him because you can see why he's upset with her. And you can see why she's upset with him. But there's this deep built friendship and trust and loyalty still there that they're still trying to figure out how to navigate it. And I love that CA White's giving us that.
They give sibling energy, but in a completely different way than Jin and Kira.
Well, he's finally figured out exactly what it is that she's doing, because there's the scene in the book where he turns around and says, I know what you're doing, and it's not going to stop me from being here and from having you back, even when I'm annoyed and pissed off at you.
And the realization, and of course, that's just so validating for her too, because of course she was only ever trying to protect not only him, but other people as well. It's very clear that she's not purposefully keeping him from his daughter or anything like that. There's layers to it. And some of the things I really love with her, with their mentorship of the younger people, is one, none of them are making it where they're the only sole authority or sole mentorship in these kids' lives.
Yeah.
And then two, like, again, it like really kind of builds on her character building, how much she's drilling into these kids. One, don't let what they're saying bother you. Don't rise to the bait. If it's not true, who cares? And then also keep some things hidden. Don't let them know everything. Keep some things in your back pocket and use them when you need to at the timing, at the opportunity of your choice, not when they decide to make you perform for them.
I also love all of the little moments of her being like, no, I'm not going to build relationships. And then she's like, dang it. These kids are like breaking me down.
Jules' sister.
Yeah.
The letter that she got from Jules' sister.
I died laughing the first time I saw this.
Funny.
And she like immediately is like, my mentor. And she's like, why is she calling me this? Like, what's happening?
Jules
I did
was like,
exactly as you instructed.
I can't stop her. I'm sorry.
Doing exactly as you instructed. I didn't instruct this. And then she's just like, well, crap, how do I respond? I don't want her to take it even worse.
yeah. And Jules just like, yeah, you can't undo that one.
Yeah.
She's adorable. And
I
I
love it.
hope we continue to get those little letters because I'm just going to chuckle every time.
And
she's like,
sure you get a couple more.
I've made relationships and friends, but they're not ready to join my family yet.
She didn't say friends, she said alliances.
Right, exactly. I'm just
I am
like,
forming
who
alliances.
is this cheeky child? I want one like her.
And she's like, what, like 8? I love her so much.
But the thing is, she's picked up on what Kira does, because even Graydon said that his team would defect to her if that ever came about.
Yeah.
He ever let
He
them.
was like, once if she ever
Which is
becomes
why
a leader, they're all
she's his
leaving me.
wife.
Yeah.
My wife. Like that energy. That is why.
But also their general amusement at seeing someone land a hit on Graydon during the first scenes, and like that's just made my day.
Yeah.
I also love in this book that we get to see older characters who were Graydon's mentors and who are also like so invested in Kira and in
I
her.
love that they call him Little Storm.
I know, and he's like,
Can we
so
talk
powerful.
about that being his nickname?
So
And
cute.
I love at one point they say, "Little Storm, have you finally found your calm?" Like
Yes,
calming the storm.
so cute.
And I'm just like, oh, that's cute.
I also love that he's like, you got a problem with that uncle of Kira, and he's just like, maybe I'm unsure still.
I also,
Even though they've been around each other for like years, hundreds of years at this point.
I don't know if we talked about this. I honestly can't remember if we talked about it with the first one, but I love that she's like 95. Like this is not an 18-year-old.
Yeah, she's 92.
Or 25-year-old.
Yep.
Yes, she is dealing with people who are like 2,000 years old. So she is still a youngin', but she's not. It's not that
by human standards,
17-year-old versus 500-year-old.
I also love that once the rest of them find out that she's 92, like Raider just starts calling her old lady and grandma, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
They're all like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's so great.
I love that. Yeah.
I also I quite like her uncle and the way that he plays.
Yeah, me
I do too.
Carlo, I
plays
think
the
is his
relationship.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked him a lot because I feel like he felt very different than a lot of other like people in power in a lot of like
Mhm.
fantasy and sci-fi, where it's like
Yeah.
he's doing this job, it's his role, and he does it well, and he's happy to do it. But he's like, I'm not.
I'm happy to
This
This
is
is
hand
not
over.
supposed to be
I
my
don't-
job.
I
This
don't
was supposed
wanna
to be your dad's job.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's like, I didn't want to be the leader.
Yeah.
Even though I was firstborn, I never wanted it. Like,
yeah,
and he was like devastated that his brother died instead of
Right.
being like, yes, my blah blah blah, like my
Yeah.
And also, even though it's been almost 100 years of having power, and I think that this is, a big issue, it's hard to give up power that you have. You
Yeah.
might have said you never wanted it in the first place. Now you've been in charge for 100 years.
yeah.
To be thrilled with the idea of being able to give that to the rightful person,
Mhm.
and that this was just an interlude basically, and also he loves her so much, and he is not trying to push a relationship with her to make himself feel better at the expense of her before she's ready, before she has any trust or any before she's settled in at all. Like, he's holding himself back from her for her benefit because he
Yeah.
actually loves her and cares about her.
And the thing is, like, you can tell he's a good leader. He has the respect of everyone around him. And he recognizes that if he welcomes her in and treats her as family straight away, not only is she not going to respect him for that because they've got no relationship, but also not a single person around them is going to respect her for her decisions. And even when because he's questioned on it, he's like, well, I can't because she has to make the decision and she won't stay if we make the decisions for her.
Mhm.
And
Because
also,
even Graydon at points makes decisions for her, but her
Right.
uncle.
And
Yeah.
in a different scenario where she was staying, where she was always going to stay, he would have been able to welcome her in with open arms. And she would have had decades before she actually did the training. By then, she's a full daughter of the house. No one is
Mhm.
going to think that anything of it. But because of her timeline, again, he's putting her ahead of his own preference.
I also the dynamic between like her at her father's house where they're all warriors and people see them as brutes and everything compared to her time with the artisans where everyone sees them as like hoity-toity rich people, and it's like one is so much more aggressive than the other and it's not the one you think.
Yeah.
Also, how much more did you all feel like she had found her place in this one than the first
Yes,
one?
100%.
I find that fascinating. because the first
1000%.
one
Like,
was
she was
still
definitely not meant to be
Yeah.
with the artisan people.
Yeah.
Like, that is
And
not
they
her
were still,
personality.
they were still welcoming of her to a certain extent, obviously not as much as Rourke has been. And again, you still had betrayals and people unwelcoming in Rourke, but it felt like, okay, like we have found our place. This is where we're going to be. And obviously we know that, she's torn on that, but I feel like I got the idea, and this hasn't happened in the series, so I don't know, but I got the feeling like eventually she ends up here, right?
Well, she
got
even
the
that
marks.
first
She
scene.
has the overlord marks on her wrists.
Yeah.
And even like that first scene where she like walks over into that world, and like she even makes a comment about like feeling that feeling that she didn't get when she landed on the other planet.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh,
And also Jen being affected by the spirit of the planet. I don't
that killed me. It was like, oh my god, he's also an alien.
He's also an alien. So my theory, y'all don't tell me if I'm right or not, is that Elise also has to be one because her offspring has pointed ears like all of the alien people do. And I was like,
could that potentially be why her father doesn't know about her?
Could it? Mm-hmm.
Could it be because the other person is also Tuan, who's still alive?
Many possibilities. Many possibilities.
So one thing we haven't brought up that I really want to is like the fact that she inadvertently formed a connection with the creatures of the planet, like the
Yes.
sea creatures that
He loves
like
the dragon people.
Oh my god, the little
like
drink
the little water
dragons.
dragon people. Like I love them, and she's just like, oh my gosh, they're beautiful. And then
love
she
them so
goes and
much.
rescues the baby just because it's the right thing to do.
Yes. Oh, I love
And
it.
And
I
she's the
just
first
love
one
it,
to
and I
recognize
love
that's
that they truly like claimed her as their own in that moment.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool because it wasn't necessary to what's going on in the story at all. It was this additional layer to everything that T.A. White gave us, and I just really love that she gave that to us.
Yeah.
Because that's
I-
more like the full
Yeah.
scope of her coming home, in as much of a home as she could have.
I like there was another link to her uncle and also to her father as well.
Yeah, so her father also could speak with them.
Yeah. And I think that little stuff like that she does really shows her world building skills, because I feel like so often they would have just like sat down and they would have been like, your father talks to these things. And she's like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I talk to them too. Instead, they had this like silly little race thing that led to, and all of this comes out more organically rather than everyone sitting down around some sort of fire.
Yeah.
It's also,
I think
it's also
that's my favorite thing in the writing and the world building is that it's all done so organically. You don't feel like you're just getting word vomited at ever, because it's all coming out organically. Yes, there are some conversations that last a little bit longer where you get a little more information, and it's important at those points. But at the same time, how those conversations come about feels very organic and natural, and it doesn't feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to book one,
Yeah.
because that was her first experience with them.
Yeah.
And on that note, too, the part of it is, again, that you will have something threaded throughout multiple books. And it doesn't feel like you're being left, on a dangler or breadcrumbs, or it's like, will you please stop hinting at something and just like give us the information?
Yeah,
it's not that. It's here's a little bit of information. And you're like, oh, that's cool. I loved learning that. And then it's not until the next book that you're like, oh, and there was more to it. It wasn't, having to wait for it.
Yeah, there's definitely those ones where it's like, I need to know something because we're introducing too many questions and too many like unknowns. I need some information. And she's really good about answering some questions, maybe not fully, but enough that you are, feeling satisfied by like being in on it a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely need more Odin information.
Oh my God, Odin is great. They are wonderful.
Yes.
They are really good.
I just very much need more.
And then
Odin, 'cause I'm
Jin.
like, I don't have enough information. I need a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. So as long as I get a little bit in each book, I'll be just fine.
Jin and Odin are great.
They are.
Yep.
They're rivalry.
Chaos gremlins together, I tell you.
And then Jin electrocuting her on security because he needs to fry any bugs that Odin slipped on her.
That was hilarious.
And you'll get more of this, and I don't think that this is any sort of spoiler and stuff, but Jin obviously super genius, but also, and I think they even referenced this in the first book, not emotionally very mature, right? It's almost like you're dealing with a super genius robot child. And so that makes him a fun dynamic. Yeah. And again, like you were saying earlier, I think maybe Megan, the sibling relationship between Jin and the sibling relationship with Raider are different because Raider is full grown and also just a different personality. But it does feel very different.
And you can tell how desperately Kira and Jin feel like they need each other. Yeah. Whether they actually do or not can be argued about, but they feel they need that connection to each other. And the more we learn about Tuon genetics, it makes sense that they clung to each other the way they did.
Yeah.
So I just really love that their relationship's different. It's not romantic in any way, shape, or form, but it is just this very special, unique almost sibling kind of
It's-
relationship, and I really appreciate it.
Platonic soulmates.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
loved all of the little things where they're like, I can't believe you haven't gone crazy. And I'm just like, oh, I wonder why.
I wonder why. Maybe this little robot I carried around with me like an
Yeah.
idiot is the
I was
reason
just,
why.
I like little stuff like that where it's not you know, a foreshadowing of like some big thing that's gonna happen. It's just like these little things where you're like, oh, I see. Like it's
They
just
call her
enough.
Mad Air because they think she's talking to herself when she's trying to nonchalantly, sneakily talk to Jin.
Yeah, with the little thing on her neck.
Well,
Yes.
the fact
Lady
that
Jin is still the best. I will die on that hill.
But you know, the funny thing is, like, Finn sees Jin and is just like, "Oh my god, how? What?" And then Graydon has almost the exact same angle. He's like, "I'm not going to explode. I'm not going to explode." What the hell are you doing here?
And also, they both have those reactions because it's not a small infraction
Yeah.
at all. As a matter of fact, again, no spoilers, but you guys will learn it's perhaps even more of an infraction than just security, right? So, again, this is that trust building. It's the thing that in another book that love interest or that best friend is not going to understand and is not going to give grace and is going to be like, these are the rules, this is the way it's always been, you're the one that's breaking them, like no exceptions, you know, that type of thing. And you would never get another chance with her, you would never have any sort of relationship with her again.
Yeah.
And I like that we don't do that even when it's something that might cost them.
And I think it's another
Gone.
extension of him starting to like Graydon starting to realize like Jin he's more than what everyone thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's part of it is like you're getting these little hints that like he's starting to catch on that there's more to this than
in the chat and stuff, everything that you are wanting more of, you do get more of. You know, maybe not in this book, maybe in the next one, maybe not in the next one. Honestly, can't tell you. I've read them all so quickly that I could not tell you what happens in what. But like everything that you're just like, oh, that was an intriguing little nugget, you're gonna get.
yeah.
And that's just it. T.A. White gives it to you in breadcrumbs where
Mhm.
it keeps your interest peaked and you're like, okay, I can tell this is important. I want more of this. But it's slow dripped to you rather than force fed to you. And I appreciate that because that means that they're going to be taking their time with the series and the story and they're not going to rush anything and they're not going to do things on a certain deadline. Even though we would all love the next book to be announced already, we're not going to be mad to have to wait a little longer.
The slow drip works because the books aren't boring. Because you're given this little nugget while in the midst of a whole bunch of other really interesting, fun things, whether it's plot or character development and the relationships and stuff. Like you've got something going on all the time. So it's not a big deal that we're not pursuing this avenue because we are on this one over here.
We're not just traveling through a desolate land on the back of a horse for 600 pages.
Yeah. Doing nothing.
Definitely not middle book syndrome. No, not at all.
Yeah, no, I felt like all of the books did that really well. Yeah. You're not like, even, you know, it's not like book 3, 4, you're like, all right, like, can we please arrive to something?
She's one of those writers where I always have the feeling like when we're going through a scene, I'm like, this scene has something important. Like there's a reason that this scene exists, whether it's character development or information about the world or whatever it is. She doesn't have these like filler moments. And I appreciate that because sometimes it can be too much where it's like, I didn't need an extra 2 chapters of you describing the trees and all of this stuff. It's not going to be important later. Yeah, and I feel like even her fun scenes are giving you something.
It's not easy for books that are close to or over 400 pages long to not have filler scenes either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is another thing that really makes her, in my book, comparable to Alona Andrews, is the ability to care about so many different side characters and
Yes.
keep them straight and have their stories building and not just have cardboard cutouts where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, here's today's villain, or here's the sassy best friend, or, you know, what have you. It's like, I care so much about so many different people.
And they all feel unique, which I think is hard to do when you have that many characters.
Yeah. I mean, take this one. You had her uncle, the marshal, the religious leader, and also their mentor. You have 4 older men introduced in one book,
Yeah.
and yet you are able to have different relationships with each
Yeah.
of them.
And very distinctive voices, like,
Mhm.
for those characters. Like, you know right away who she's interacting with
Yeah.
based off of, you know, how they're,
And
even if you, like, forget.
Devin and Aiden. Again,
Yeah.
you're introducing 2 boys of, like, the same age in the same environment that are friends, that are both treating you kinda crappy, right?
Mhm.
Which also, what did you guys think of Aiden? Or Aaron, whatever his
Aaron.
name was?
I thought the end of Aaron was interesting. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a feeling when he started off right away, I had a feeling, one, that I knew who he was. And then I was like, there's going to be some sort of like little switcheroo here. Cause she was like, oh, he seems nice and he seems like a jerk. And I was like, seems like a.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I did like kind of watching him not quite get put in his place, but figuring
Right.
out that maybe he's not at the top of the food chain and he should start accepting it without becoming a different person. Like, he's still kind of a cocky 18-year-old type of
Mhm.
character, but
Right.
But he's supposed to be. Like,
Yeah,
that's exactly
exactly.
who he is at this point. He's been
Yeah.
a spoiled, spoon-fed kid
yeah,
who,
like,
you
it's
know,
that,
now has to wake up to reality, which is why he got sent to another planet, like,
yeah.
essentially
And
for this test.
I mean, there's always the joke of
Devin's
like, I've never
entertaining.
been as sure of myself, or I've never been as smart as I was when I was 18. I feel like he depicts that, of this
Yeah.
like teenager who's like so sure that he has it all figured out.
Yeah.
And then life
Oh,
knocks you down a
Devin.
little.
I think that you see this more and more throughout the series, but you definitely have already seen it and definitely saw it introduced in this book, that Kira has a different viewpoint because she did not grow up in this society, right? She has a different viewpoint on their powers, on their place in society, on what respect is deserved simply by virtue of your station, right?
Well, also, like, they keep calling her, like, child because in their world, she is a child, but she
Mhm.
grew up in the mindset of a human, where in the human world, she is, like, a senior essentially now.
Right.
So
And also, additionally, we know that her childhood was extremely traumatizing, and we know how aging that is too, right? An 8-year-old that nothing bad has ever happened to them is gonna be different than an 8-year-old that has had horrific things happen to them. And that's not necessarily a good thing, that's not a thing that we wish on anybody, right? But at the same time, there's a very big mental difference there.
yeah, well, and then that shows when they realize that Blue is only 26,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they were like, what is wrong with humans that they would willingly put a 26-year-old? And she's like, dude, I've been an adult for 8 years. Like, I have multiple doctorate degrees, which is super cool. And I chose this life. And they're like, you can't be an adult. And she's like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, humans don't live as long as as y'all do.
Well, and I
Yeah.
feel like Kira actually shows a lot of like, she is very respectful of everyone, like regardless of their age. Like, even like Jewel and Ziva and all of that, like, I feel like she judges a lot of things more on like character and actions rather than the two on who are like, well, you haven't done this thing, you're a child, and you haven't done this thing, you're like not this. And to her, she's like, there's a lot of different ways to be smart and powerful and all of these things, and all of it deserves respect.
Yeah.
If you act like you deserve respect
Exactly.
if you earn it.
That's just it. Respect has to be earned,
Yeah.
not
Mhm.
expected. And
Yeah.
Well,
this book really takes that to another level, to the
Yeah.
point where like this is more how reality is. Respect is earned.
I'm going to say also with Aaron that, you know, he transforms into his Primus form for the first time in this book, and he has no idea what to do with it.
Is that
No,
Devin?
Aaron,
Devin
Devin.
does.
yeah,
Aaron's the bad
Yeah,
guy.
right.
Yeah, I got
What
that.
else did I get? Ignore me. My brain is mush.
very similar.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't remember which was which either.
So, like for Devin, that's not something that should have happened now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So suddenly his confidence is shaken because of that as
Mhm.
well, which is a
Yeah,
growing.
didn't they say it showed up like a century early or something like that? Like it showed up way
They said
earlier than it
Aaron
should have.
pulled it from him.
Yeah,
is
so
what
they were
said.
trying to force it because then it would force Devin to do something that could irrevocably change who he is by killing a friend.
Yeah, and
Or
it
someone that he's
changed
supposed to-
how everyone viewed him, because
Yeah.
now, one, they see him as like a loose cannon because he can't control his Primus form and they don't know what will set him off again. And then two, they're jealous.
Yeah.
But it does give Kira an in with him
Mhm.
to be
Oh,
able to start having a
well.
conversation, because the thing with characters who believe that they can do anything is that unless you can find a way past that, they're not going to listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And Aaron is telling Devin when they're in the test or whatever, right? Or something like that. Whenever the monologue is going on, you know, the evil monologue, about how Kira knows exactly what it's like to be forced into your Primus form. So it's clear to me that that is a hint that
That's what they were experimenting with.
Betty or whatever, you know, the enemy is called. They have techniques to specifically do this.
Yeah.
Savati?
Yeah, Saviti.
I think that's how I
Savati,
say, yeah,
something like that.
Savati.
Saviti. But even the link between the Tuan and the Saviti as well, and the fact that the Tuan were servants or slaves or
But
whatever.
again, it was introduced, that information was introduced so well,
Yeah.
because it wasn't just like, yeah, he told her, but it was like in the middle of a scene of them like walking around and like looking at these statues and like him almost like telling a story. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Exactly. And also when she was tentative with her trust with him and basically gave the hint that, hey, that thing might have more to do than you think, you know, and he again is worthy of that trust. He like lives up to it.
And he also, in the other direction, knows that she is not telling him certain things and respects her and trusts her enough to give him that information when it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel like, I deserve to know all of your secrets and all of your answers right now.
He's so mature.
Yeah.
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 It's nice to
His
have.
age might be showing a little bit with how he respects and treats her.
Yeah.
I do like that Graydon isn't like so much older than her. Like he's not like 1,000 years old. It's like she's 100, he's 200, and then like everyone else is like thousands of years. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's like not in that scheme of like ages. That's not bad.
The 18-year-old and the 700-year-old Faye, and you're just like,
no, that's yeah.
what?
But it's like, oh, she's 92 and he's like almost 200 or something
like that. Yeah.
We didn't talk about this when we were talking about the start of the book, but Kira trying to get out of her contract again. And it's going badly. And then, what was it? And then her realize when Rita, reminds her that she's actually the superior officer. She's like, oh, hell no.
It's like, technically you're on duty now and superior officer. So
I love that they just hung up. They're like, just a sec, I guess.
There's no proof of delivery.
I was so frustrated in that moment. It's like,
he could get the
you're a jerk. Just give her what she wants.
Yeah.
and I forget, is his name Himoto?
Yeah,
Or-
Himoto.
Yeah.
He's one of those characters that
That's why she ended up learning Japanese, I believe, is him.
Yeah,
you
'cause
have
he's
a
French, I think.
love-hate relationship with. Like, he cares about her, but he does not care about her to the point of putting her first, which again is a nice juxtaposition to the love interest.
Yeah.
But it's just like he keeps putting her in these situations, and I'm so mad at him.
Oh my god, when
Even the
Graydon
foil
thought
of him versus like Raider, where it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you have a love relationship, but Raider's always going to have her back no matter what.
Mhm.
Whereas
Yeah.
this guy is going to choose to have his own back.
Yeah.
And she even understands why. She's like, you
Mhm.
know, he is literally trying to keep all of humanity safe. And if I'm the sacrifice that is required for that, it's one he's going to pay. It's not going to make him happy to pay it because he does care to a certain extent, but he will pay it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talking about that reminded me of Graydon's thoughts when Kira went into the water and they thought that she was dead. And he was just like, my life is over. And I'm like, oh my God, this man.
It's like, I am going to burn
Swoon.
the world down.
Yeah.
I will
Swoon.
kill everything.
And that's where like the morality chain element of him comes through. And I am feral for morality chain, as y'all know. So I was not mad in that moment. I'm like, yes, protect your
Mhm.
woman, protect your future wife. Like, go.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
love-
this
I
is
love
going
them.
to be disastrous for me, but I will kill everything.
And again, like you see that she's more important to him than his position in society, than his religion, than, you know,
Yep.
the other relationships.
His
that-
job.
Like he's going to do it for her. And also the interesting part of such a long lifespan, right? His thought is, you know, a foreseeable eternity without her.
Yeah.
And like the best part of his life is over, even though he's a young man, you know.
Oh, I love them. I love them so much. But the fact that this like is such a slow burn is why it's giving me more Kate and Curran than Nevada and Mad Rogan. Because Nevada and Mad Rogan, there's develops a lot faster than Kate
Well,
and Curran's do.
shorter series as well.
That's
Right.
true, yeah. So that's why I'm like, oh, this is definitely giving more Kate and Curran.
Yeah.
Though when he was like, I'm gonna burn down the entire world, and I was like, that's very Mad Rogan of you.
Yeah.
It's also Curran though, because, and I won't go spoilers, but the further you get into the series,
That's true.
Curran burns his own life. Really,
That's true.
In many ways, yeah. He'll put her
Yeah.
first.
I think, does the 10th graphic audio come out soon? Because once that comes out, I'm going through every single one of those graphic audios.
I do think he is more mentor than father. However, I think that the sad part of it is up until this point, he's the only father figure in
Yeah,
her.
that was the closest thing she had to a father.
And that's not a great one to have, really.
I love how her uncle is treating her, because he's like, he I guess like he understands and is acting like, yes, you are an adult who I did not have, like I didn't have a hand in raising.
Yeah, you're an
But
adult.
at the same time, he's like, I still love you because you are my brother's child, and I would love, like, he wants to have a relationship with her without having to force it. So he's literally like, I'm doing what I think is best, but also I'm not being like heavy-handed and being like, I'm related to you, love me.
Yeah.
And I really like
which
that.
is interesting because he's a character that doesn't have his own family either.
Yeah, because his family's all gone.
Because he was thrust into sort of that leadership role and probably hasn't had a chance to do that, but also because their society has been so affected by losing children.
Yeah.
But the fact that you can have a character who can go put her before himself and his feelings, even though we know that he feels that way. It's nice. And it's nice to have very balanced male characters in a series, because there's more male characters in this series than there are female characters.
That's true. I feel like they write this author has written the male and female characters very well, though.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, I didn't think about the fact that there are more males than females because the males are not written like
No.
like testosterone machines, and that's it.
They're not just like crazy toxic.
Yeah.
Even the ones who are the antagonists or the villains of the piece, you can still understand their motivations
Mhm.
and why. Like Ludon, I mean, I don't agree with what he did, but you can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In
He
his grief.
truly thought he was helping his friend. Like,
Not just his friend, but his entire house. He was
Yeah.
like, this is what we need. And if you hate me for it and I have to sacrifice for it,
yeah.
like I'm
that's-
sacrificing for the greater good. I sacrificed my wife, the love of my life, accidentally maybe, but at the same time, I sacrificed her for a plan that I then continued to believe in again for another 100 years.
And so I feel like that makes it like, even though you know he's the villain, you are like, I don't like you. At least you can understand how he got there and that he truly believes that what he was doing was the right thing. Not just evil because like, oh, I wanted to be evil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
both of the
also-
villains in books 1 and 2, they're coming from a place of doing what they think is best.
None of them feel super
That's
like
true.
mustache twirly, like
Yeah, I guess it's like they're not really
caricature of a villain.
but they're also not the only villain. Like we have the actual evil villain in like the Savati,
And
but
and
but
the
it's
masters
accomplices that fell
specifically,
into it.
it talks about how they literally have no right or wrong. Like that is not a thing that exists in their reality. So
Mhm.
all of the horrendous things that they do, it's not even like someone who has been desensitized to it or, anything like that. They literally doesn't matter to them. Also, with Himoto and Harlow, I will say again, I don't love Himoto, right? In a lot of ways, every time you are interacting with him, even though it's clear they have rapport and they have a history, he's kind of being a jackass. But at the same time, giving grace and giving leeway from a place of strength is a privilege of safety and strength. That's one that Harlow has, right? Kira, while she is the future of his house, is not vital that he keep her with them in order for those people to be safe. He can keep them safe himself.
Yeah.
Himoto, not so much, right? She was literally this super secret power weapon of the war that made all the difference in the war. He couldn't just let her rest. He couldn't just let her quit. Because she was the only thing standing between humanity and destruction.
And he's still not letting her rest, and he's still not letting her quit.
And now, again, there's proof that the enemy is back. They know they cannot possibly fight them off by themselves on round 2. They have to give the Tuon, anything that they want. And the fact that they want Kira, that's just what it is.
Mhm.
Well, anymore, it's just become like Kira is their life raft, essentially. And they don't know another way around and another way for survival.
Yeah.
And so they default to, okay, we have to give them whatever they want, even if it's her, because we have to survive. And I understand that survival instinct, and it's so ingrained in them after all those years of war. And so it's one of those things where they don't like what they're doing. You can tell that they don't like it, but they have to make it happen for the sake of humanity.
Yeah. Well, and you had the difference between him and the other admiral, right? The other admiral, he didn't care. He was like, "Oh, she's all you want? Why are we even talking right now? What is the holdup?" Whereas Himoto obviously has a personal relationship.
What I think is really interesting about the Saviti and the Tuan is that they've both learned something from the humans, and that's been hinted at because Blue's theory is that the Tuan were on Earth long before they made contact with them.
I love Blue. I love Blue's taking apart of the Tuon's inventions and remaking
Graydon's
them.
even admitted this was not our original homeworld. Like, this is just where we landed afterwards. Was their original homeworld Earth? Is that why they're fighting?
No, their homeworld
That's the question.
Destroyed.
Yeah, they said it was destroyed.
So they're
But they could have visited Earth, been like, these people aren't like high enough for
possibly.
Yeah.
But also, I like that Blue didn't pass the challenge, or didn't. Can't remember. Was it she didn't go for it, or she didn't, or she wasn't ready for it?
She wasn't selected
Selected,
to
yeah.
take the test.
And also she, I mean, we know the reasons why. She wants more time with them and to learn more, but that's not an issue for anyone.
That curious mind of hers is gonna get her in trouble sooner rather than later, though.
I think they said it has gotten her in trouble. That's why Kira was like, I don't want to have to look after her. And Raider was like, I don't want to have to look after her.
Mm-hmm. She literally can't help herself.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. She probably doesn't need them to look after her. She just needs to make decisions for herself, and then
We just
live
need
with
her
the
to
consequences.
cause a political incident with her poking and prodding.
That's
Yeah.
always the issue. We can't let you self-implode because you're going to damage everything else.
Yeah.
I feel like Jin has already caused a lot of trouble.
Jin is like a little...
He is such a little chaos gremlin. That is what he is. He invokes chaos wherever he goes, thinking he's doing something good, like surprising his friend and causing so many more problems.
Yep.
Also, in the trials, what's the older guy's, the mentor's name? Win? Or is
Ren.
it
Ren?
Ren?
Ren.
Yeah.
W-R-E-N.
WREN.
Did you guys see how she told him that his daughter was still alive? So
Yes,
he
don't you dare die.
into the next life to meet up with her because she wasn't going to be there.
Yes. Oh, I was like, so invested now. I also like that he was like, here's a coin, and she's like, what the hell is this coin? And he's like, I have chosen you to be my mentee. And she's like, bold of you to assume I want you as my mentor. And he just ignores it. He's like, yep, bye, and just like pieces out. Like, I'm not dealing with you.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We do see more of him. I do really like him as a character. I mean, obviously, you kind of see more of everybody, but it's nice when they're introduced and then you continue.
I'm ready to see more of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. The cliffhangers don't get better from here, guys. So. But the next live show is not till May 31st. So technically you could read all of the books and then reread book 3 the last week of May. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get more comments in the group chat about, I need to read the next book. Well, that's...
Now here's the thing. Will I immediately start this book, or will I continue the book I'm currently reading, forget about the books for the live show, and then the week before be like, oh, I need to read this, and then be sad that I can't read the 4th one?
Yeah. And this is why I read them the week before the live show.
Yeah, I read them as close to the live show as I can because I already have to wait a month. I don't want to have to wait longer. Book 3 is fun times. Fun times. I'm excited for it.
It is.
I
just like that we end up in different places all the time.
I like that we go different places with, again, so many different characters, but like you know them and you like them, and you're still building on the very same thing that you started on at the beginning of book 1.
Yep.
That's skills.
Yeah. Alrighty. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about?
I think we hit all the major points that I wanted to. Just the fact that Graydon is being so intentional, but also chill with his courting of Kira makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and she thinks that he just wants the chase because she's not in his head.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because he's like, I want you forever. And she's like, you just want the chase. And I'm like, no, he doesn't.
You just think you want forever, but
he's
then
ready to settle his storm. He's ready to make little storm babies. So just give him what he wants.
I love Little Storm. That's such a cute nickname.
It is.
And the fact that he doesn't like balk at it either just makes me happy.
Right.
Yeah, because he's not like, that was my childhood nickname. I'm the Emperor's face now. Like, no, and he's just like, yes, I am still Little Storm.
I want the story of how that nickname came about. Like,
Right? I want it. I want it so bad.
That's once again just the sign of maturity of not getting defensive about it.
Mm-hmm.
alrighty.
Yes, Little Storm babies, give me.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Robin, before we wrap up? No. Alrighty. So yes, the next live show, 31st for these guys. First, if you're in my part of the world, same time. But yes, thank you for joining us, and we'll be back for more conversations, potentially with the whole crew next time.
Yeah, I was like, maybe we'll have everyone next time.
I will.
Izzy does send her apologies.
I will be impressed if we do get a live show with everybody. We always knew it was a risk, but that's the goal.
Don't jinx it. We want all the peoples.
That's the goal.
It's all good.
That's fun.
Alrighty.
I'm so glad we're all reading it.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'm going to end the stream. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.